Hello and welcome back to another one, and today I'll be going through 10 sections of Eminem's Kamikaze album that have stuck with fans since the album dropped over a year ago. And these sections aren't just popular among fans, but are also defining in the album and represent what Kamikaze meant to do after Eminem received criticism that he deemed exaggerated because people believed it was the cool thing to do at that time to put Eminem down after Revival released. Now, before we get started, I'm sure that most of you guys that have listened to the album extensively know that I could fill up this list with just bars from The Ringer easily, but we'll try to make it fair for the other tracks on the album. You know, I'm all about that equality, so let's get to it. Now, Kamikaze was many things, and an assault on mumble rap was one of them, because of the path hip-hop music was going down before Eminem dropped Kamikaze. Nearly every young rapper coming up mimicked the same sound and flow, and in my opinion, the better you could copy a sound, the higher your chances of success at the moment. That's how it sounds to me right now, and if you need an example of the flow Eminem was mimicking here, check out Versace by Migos. Even Snoop jumped in on the action with this one.
You can order a quarter pounder when you go to McDonald's, but if you're looking to get a porterhouse, you better go get Revival. But y'all acting like I tried to serve you up a slider. Maybe the vocals should have been auto-tuning, you would have bought it.
Eminem believes that his projects stand out like high-quality food compared to fast food garbage that saturates the industry at this point, and when it comes to him, people know what to expect. High-quality bars over what is considered a mainstream hip-hop sound at a particular time. The industry is now infused with auto-tune at every turn, and when Revival came out, people certainly overreacted with the negative reviews, completely ignoring the content of the album. I believe that even a famous YouTuber later admitted that he didn't listen to the entire album, yet it jumped on the wagon that trashed the album. And this is a defining section of Kamikaze where Eminem broke this down.
But next time you don't gotta use Tech 9 if you wanna come at me with a submachine gun. And I'm talking to you, but you already know who the fuck you are, Kelly.
Of course, you know I wasn't gonna miss this one. The song that was the foundation that Killshot was built upon since Kels took the bait. Now these bars have several layers to it, and it wasn't just about the revelation that Kels was who he was talking about or not alike, but the fact that what started this whole thing was Kels doing what the rumors suggest that R. Kelly was doing for years. So you know who you are, Kelly, looking at an underage female who happened to be M's daughter at that time, and that was the genesis of this feud.
The longer we spend living this lie that we live, the less is left for closure, so let's let this go. It's not goodbye to our friendship, but D12 is over.
Kamikaze also included apologies, and Eminem described it in the Kamikaze interview with Sway. Proof was the glue that brought everyone together in the group, so when Eminem said this is not goodbye to our friendship, but D12 is over, for those that have been fans of Eminem and the group since the beginning, those words were like taking an arrow straight to the heart. It's not like fans didn't get the hint that D12 was over before this, but hearing Eminem say those words on a song gave fans the feels.
So you sold 10 million albums, eh? What? Only problem is, you put out 10 million albums, eh? Wait, what was I just about to say?
Those that know what's been going on since the streaming era kicked off will find these bars to be some of the funniest on the entire Kamikaze album because of how true it is. Some may think this is directed at Drake, who released like 13 projects in the space of 10 years, but this bar isn't aimed at one person, but the entire industry at this point. Drake just also happens to be in the line of fire, so it applies to him and others. Since the streaming era began, hip-hop albums aren't just getting longer, but artists are now releasing 2 to 3 projects in the space of 12 months because it is about increasing the overall numbers of streams at the moment. More songs in an album and more albums in a year keeps the cash flowing in the streaming era, since you don't have to rely on album purchases anymore. Coupled with the whole equivalent sales thing, RIAA certifications have also become inflated, so Eminem is pointing this out.
You got a couple of ghostwriters, but to these kids it don't actually matter.
These bars were instantly popular on social media because of the controversy that was surrounding Drake at that time, since it is believed that Drake uses ghostwriters to keep the content flowing. He's released like 7 projects, I believe, in the space of 5 years. The rumors of Drake using the services of ghosts was at its peak at this time, so many believed Eminem was dissing Drake. Now, it's been clarified by Eminem that it wasn't directed at Drake, but I believe those bars are directed at the entire industry at the moment, where many artists are now even openly admitting to use ghost writers, and this bar is a case of if the shoe fits. So while it's not directed at Drake specifically, it is directed at all those that use ghostwriters for their bars, and if Drake fits the description, then he's also in the group since the shoe fits.
So they nominate him, get him there, get a name to MC to show every Parasite needs a host.
No one was safe on Kamikaze, not even the Grammys, and Eminem was pouring it all out on this album. He's been invited to the show several times, and they get him there with claims that he might win the coveted Album of the Year award each time. As usual, they end up giving the award to someone less popular. Now, Eminem made it clear in the Kamikaze interview that he's not criticizing the work of the artists that won these awards, but he's not a fan of the strategy of getting big names to the show to promote it and increase TV ratings. Now, the Grammys didn't like this, I believe, and Kamikaze didn't get nominated for Hip Hop Album of the Year, but it doesn't matter. Eminem has won 15 Grammys, and Kamikaze ended the year as the top hip hop album globally, according to the IFPI.
But if the only reason I bloat is cause I'm white, though I don't every other white rapper sell what I sold.
When it comes to the issue that's been the topic of discussion lately about Eminem, this is the most popular section from the entire Kamikaze album, based on the nonsense that media journalists and the likes of Jerome have been spewing about Eminem. You'd have to be drowning in hate up to your eyeballs at this point for you to agree that Eminem is a guest in hip-hop music, and for those that believe Eminem owes his success to his skin color, these bars from the Kamikaze song have been the most effective counter so far to all the nonsense that's been going on in 2019, peddled by the likes of Jerome. I even did a video a while back where I did the math of what Eminem said on White America, that if he was black he would have sold half. That's Eminem's detractors' go-to bar to prove their point that Eminem wouldn't be as big. Now, no one knows for sure, and if you've seen the video where I broke it down, then you know that even if he sold half, he will still be the biggest rapper in the world today.
If I'm the music that y'all grew up on, I'm responsible for you retarded fools. I'm the super villain, dad and mom is losing their marbles too.
If there's one thing some of the biggest Eminem detractors have in common, it is that they all claim that they grew up listening to Eminem's music. It has become a routine at this point, and I'm sure you guys have several examples of popular critics of Eminem's newer music, including the likes of Tyler, who also say they grew up listening to Eminem. Even those who don't think for themselves use this as an opener when they want to criticize Eminem's music, and since Eminem sees himself as a supervillain, he claims responsibility for these, quote, fans that have lost their way. What makes this more interesting is the section that comes before.
They're chasing me, but I'm part of you, so escaping me is impossible. I latch on to you like a parasite.
Eminem makes it known that regardless, it's impossible to escape him, and we know this for a fact since he's been dominant for over 2 decades now. So for those who've been waiting for him to go away or just disappear, like many dominant MCs have in the past, there's no escaping. He's here to stay. To tie it all up, this is how the supervillain Venom latches on to his victims.
I mention you, lose for me, win for you. Billions of views, your 10 cents or 2. Skim through the music to give shit reviews, to get clicks, but bitch, you just lit the fuse.
Now this is arguably the most popular section from The Ringer, and it summarizes what pushed Eminem to make the Kamikaze album. Media journalists and YouTubers were making a killing from giving out negative revival reviews, and it went low to the point of mockery. These reviews generally lacked depth, the bars completely overlooked something that you'd think should be important when reviewing a hip-hop album, and some even went as far as calling it the worst album of 2017. And just so you know, according to the 2014 book The Evolution and Equilibrium of Copyright in the Digital Age, over 100,000 albums released each year. Eminem was well aware of this lack of depth in the reviews, hence the bar skimmed through the music to give bad reviews. But if we know one thing about how Eminem handled criticism in the past, is that he comes back even stronger, hence the bar, he just lit the fuse. Kamikaze blew up globally, and it was mission accomplished for Eminem, and I'd like to know what you guys think of this. I'm sure your list may be different from mine, so share with us below. Like the video if you enjoyed this, share with your friends on social media, and subscribe if you're new to the channel and turn on notifications to never miss a video.